Hey, in today's episode, we're trying to make a game that's hopefully playable. We're making a level system that's semi-functional. Let's get into it. Okay, before we get into it, let's talk about some small but important changes that I've made. First one being, the map no longer changes before and after going to a battle. I did this by loading the map in the background and kept it running in the same scene as the actual battle that's going on. Whereas before, it was loading the scene, and since it was loading the scene, it was making a whole new map. Next, I made it so that the enemy you fight gets destroyed when you beat it by just destroying it upon interaction with it. Since if you win, it's going to get destroyed, but if you lose, it resets anyway. So I just destroyed it upon battling it, and it was also too long to find the exact object that you interacted with and then destroying it then. So I just destroyed it upon battling it. After that, I decided to make it so doors can only open once at a time, rather than all the doors opening at the same time when you interact with one door. Alongside that, I made it so doors can only deactivate when there are no enemies left in the room at all. I did this by making a counter, counts how many collisions there are within the parameter of the room using Unity's physics system, and I decremented it every time an enemy was destroyed, and then only allowed the door to be open when there are 0 enemies left. I also added a kind of beta version of the reward system, where there is a sprite that appears on each door, and you can choose one reward per room to claim once you beat all the enemies. But you don't get a reward. So it's kind of a beta 1.0, not 1.0, like 0.1 version. Alright, onto the very unpolished version of the leveling system that I made. So, I started off by adding a stat called total XP, and then I made a script called levels, real unique game names I know. But the point of the script is it takes the level of the enemies defeated and the names of the enemies defeated, and uses them as parameters for a function called gain XP. That gives a certain amount of XP, you would have guessed, based on those values. Then what it does is it calls a function called level up, where it does a calculation and sets the level to the output of that calculation. So your level, or what your level should be, is checked every time you gain XP. So that's about it. The gain XP function is called whenever you defeat an enemy in the battle system script, which puts in the right parameters as it has access to the level of the enemy and the name of the enemy. But what you may be asking is, what's the point of getting the enemy's name since it's not using the calculation? I mean, obviously, it's a word. What I want you to do is to think about Pokemon. The amount of XP needed to level up in Pokemon is set to like different groups. Erratic, fast, medium slow, slow, and fluctuating, where the group that our Pokemon is in decides how much XP is needed to level up. I want to implement like the same system, but in reverse, where I want the amount of XP the enemy gives you is dependent on the group it is, but I decide how to do that and all the details of that in the future. Since right now I only have like 2 enemies and they're not really actual enemies that's going to be in the final game, they're kind of just like placeholders. And that is all for today. I know it's a bit of a short video, but next week I plan to have a lot more content for you guys. But make sure you like and subscribe. That's all.
Baby, you know I'm impatient, and even more now that you're present. I'm feeling my gums what I'm missing, 'cause you're the woman in my world, so I ain't gonna front.